we're going to look at basic division. So we're going to look at how you divide, and dividing like 2-digit numbers and 3-digit numbers. Maybe we might even get up to 4 or 5-digit numbers, because once you know the process for 2-digit numbers, it then becomes easier to be able to do the others as well. So we're going to do some practice. I'm going to go through step by step. At the end, on the Classroom tab, I've also posted a video, a Mathematics video about basic division, and I've written some notes that will help you if you want to follow along with the basic division from the Mathematics video. And I'm going to send you some worksheets so that you can have a practice of all this. So make notes if you want to, follow the step-by-step, the worked examples that I do. You don't need to make copious amounts of notes, you don't need to make lots of notes, because I am going to send you some of those. If you wanted to, you could pause the video and go and print those off now so that you've got them in front of you should you want to. Fabulous. So let me show you what division is about and the different ways that we can write division to start with. So when we have division, we often write it as something like 9 divided by 4. We have a number, we divide it by another number. So it's going to be 2 remainder 1. I'll come back to talking about what that R is in a minute. We can write this division in lots of different ways. We can write it as a fraction. I don't know whether you've ever seen a fraction before, maybe like a half or a fourth, a quarter, 3/4. These are all fractions, and actually a division is just a fraction, or a fraction is just a division. What this actually says here is 9 divided by 4. It's exactly the same as if we put the division symbol here. Here, you can see this looks a bit like a division symbol with a number at the top and a number at the bottom. And this is exactly the same. The answer to 9/4 is also 2 remainder 1. We're going to look at today writing it like this, with a 9 here and a 4 here. And then you put the answer up here. And I'm going to talk about what all these elements are called in a minute. When you use a spreadsheet program or a computer to put in a division symbol, your keyboard doesn't have this symbol on it. So we can also write it with a / button. So you press the 9 key, the / key, the 4, and you would get a number out. Now on a calculator, you usually don't have 2 remainder 1. It would actually say 2.5, but we're not going to worry about decimal numbers today. These two are the same when we're looking at 9 divided by 4. Right. Now, one of the things that I've put on the notes is what these elements are called. When we've got I call this the bus stop. It's like a bus shelter here with the numbers underneath. And what we do is we have special names to call them. So this top number here, we call the quotient. This is like the answer. This is the answer to our division question, the quotient, the answer. And that's the key word that I want you to remember. I'm going to give you 2 other words, but the quotient is the one that that you are likely to use most often. Sometimes a test questions say, find the quotient of 9 and 4. And that basically means you have to find 9 divided by 4 and find the answer. That's what that means. This number under here is called the dividend. It's the number we are dividing up. So it is the 9 up here. This is the dividend. And then this one here is the divisor. And this is the number that we are dividing by. So 9 divided by 4, the 9 is the dividend, and the divisor is the number we are dividing. So many arrows. if you want to write them, please press pause and you can write. I'm going to talk about how we convert 9 divided by 4 into a bus stop. Now, a student told me that a really good way of remembering which number goes under the bus stop is to think about it if it was raining. If it was raining, the 9 comes along first, waiting for this bus, and the 9 comes along first. And if it was raining, I would certainly want to stand under the bus stop. So the 9 comes along first, and that's the one that goes under the bus stop. Maybe there's no room, under the bus stop, and therefore the 4 comes at the front. The key thing is to get the 9 in the right place, because then the 4 follows. So the 9 goes underneath and the 4 follows. What we then want to do is we want to then work out how many 4s go into 9. How many 4s go into 9 or nearly 9? How many 4s go into 9 or nearly 9? And the way that I sometimes work that out is to go, okay, so 1 times 4, well, that's just 4. 2 times 4, well, that's 8. I'm looking at getting to 9. How many 4s go into 9 or nearly 9? Well, 8 is nearly 9, but let me go one more. Let's see if we go over 9. 3 times 4, oh yes, 3 times 4 is 12, and that's over 9. So the number that I need is the 8, because it is 9 or nearly 9. It is almost 9. So we need the 8. Now 8 is 2 lots of 4. We've got the 4 here already, so I put the 2 at the top here. There are 2 4s in 9 or nearly 9. 2 times 4 is 8. So what we do is we take a bite out of that 9 of this 8. We've already accounted for 2 of these 4s, and that's our 8. And therefore we subtract 9, subtract 8 gives us, that's right, 1. And this is what's called our remainder. 2, we say remainder 1. Let me show you with some blocks. So if we've got 9 blocks here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right. So imagine these are maybe candles, and we were splitting them up between 2 people. 4 people rather. We've got 4 people here because we're dividing by 4. I've got 9 candy, and I want to see how many pieces of candy each person gets. So I need to divide it into 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Each person gets at least 1 piece of candy. That's like my 1 times 4. I've got 4 here. Then let's see, another 1, 2, 3, 4. Absolutely, I've just realized I've got 10 pieces here. I'm going to take that one away. So we've got 9 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here I've got 8 of them. 2 times 4 is 8. But I've got this 1 left over because I can't split this piece of candy amongst these 4 people. Well, not easily, not without cutting it up or ripping it up or something. So what we say is you have 2s, each of those 4 people have 2 pieces of candy. 9 divided by 4 is 2. And then I have this 1 piece of candy left over, which is my remainder. This is my remainder. So we say 2, remainder 1. We say 2, remainder 1. Now, what about if we had a bigger number? What if we had a number like 12? And we were doing 12 divided by 4. We do it the same. Remember which one comes first? 12 comes first. And where does that go? Yes, it goes underneath. It goes underneath the bus stop. And then the 4 comes here. So how many 4s go into 1 or nearly 1? Well, 1 times 4 is already too big. It's not 1. So we've gone too much. So actually it's 0. We don't have any there. And because this is right at the start of our division, what we can actually go is if this is 0, then, okay, how many 4s go into 12 or nearly 12? How many 4s go into 12 or nearly 12? And then I can use this again. 1 times 4 is 4, 2 times 4 is 8, 3 times 4 is exactly 12. So I can put my 12 just here. How many 4s is that? Well, it's 3. It is 3 lots of 12. And do we have a remainder? 12 subtract 12 is 0. So no, we don't have a remainder at all. It is just 3. It is just 3. What about if we had, so the answer to this is just 3 here. The answer to this is 3. What about if I had 14 divided by 4? 14 divided by 4. So I put my 14 under here because the 14 comes first. I put the 4 at the beginning. And then I go, okay, 4's into 1. Well, we know that doesn't go, so we put a 0. I'm then dealing not just with that 4 now, because we still have to account for that 1. So we're now going 4's into 14 or almost 14. Don't forget that 1, it needs to still be there. 4's into 14 or nearly 14. So I go back to this. 4, 8, 12. Well, 12 is nearly 14. Let's just check. 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 60. So we've gone too high now. So it can't be 4. So we're back to that 12 just there. And 4 times 3 is the 12. We subtract. We get 14, subtract 12, which is, 2. And therefore the answer is 3 remainder 2. The answer is 3 remainder 2. So that's dividing a number into 2 digits. Let me give you some more examples. As I say, if you want to write those down, just pause the video and do that now. Okay. Let's have a look at dividing by 2, but let's have a look at dividing by some bigger numbers. I'm going to put it straight into a bus stop this time. So I'm going to do 128. So a 3-digit number, and we're dividing it by 2. So we're looking at the equation 128 divided by 2, and we want to find the answer to that. We do it in exactly the same way. How many 2's go into 1? No, they don't, so we start with a 0. This needs to be 2 or more to have something other than 0 up here. 2's into 12. How many 2's go into 12 or nearly 12? Aha, okay. How many 2's go into 12? Well, I know that 2 times 6 is exactly 12. 2 multiplied by 6 is exactly 12, and therefore I can put a 12 just here. 2 times 6, and that 6 goes up there. We subtract that, which gives us 0. And this time what we do is we move down this 8. We're going to move down this 8 because we need to now deal with that 8, but we've already handled that 1 and that 2 with 0 left over. So we now need to ask ourselves, how many 2's go into 8? How many 2's go into 8 or nearly 8? Well, I know that 2 times 4 is 8, and therefore I can put a 4 up here. Therefore, what we've got here is 128 divided by 2, which is 64. 128 divided by 2 is 64. And when we divide by 2, it is also called halving. We divide by 2, we are halving it. We are cutting 128 in half. And if we cut 128 into 2 equal parts, each part would be 64. Let me give you an example where we have to carry some numbers over. I'm going to stick with 2 for now. We started exactly the same way. So this is the one we're doing, 138 divided by 2. Okay, how many 2's go into 1? No, they don't. So I'm looking at 3 or 13? 13, well done. So we're looking at 13 here. How many 2's go into 13 or nearly 13? Well, I know this from before. 2 times 6 is 12. And if I went to 2 times 7, it would be 14. So that's too high. So therefore, I'm looking at the 12 just here. And 2 times 6 is the 12. 2 times 6 is 12. 13 subtract 12 is 1. And just like up here, we now need to bring this 8 down to the next line. I'm bringing that 8 down to here. And what I'm doing is saying how many 2's go into 18 or nearly 18. How many 2's go into 18 or nearly 18? And so if I think about it as 2 times 8 is 16, not quite there yet. 2 times 9 is 18. Oh, exactly right. So I want to do 18 here. And then 2 times 9 is 18. 2 times 9 is 18. 18 subtract 18 is 0. So we have no remainder. Now, if you're happy to go on to the next, to the questions, please just fast forward this last example. Otherwise, if you want me to go through one more example, then please stay with me. Let's look at something divided. Oh, sorry, I completely forgot to write the answer here. 138 divided by 2 is 69. You need to be able to write that full because you don't, you can't just leave it at the top here. This is the answer, but it needs to be put at the end just here. Okay, so let's go. 755. Okay, 755 divided by 5. 755 divided by 5. Okay, 5's into 7. How many 5's go into 7 or nearly 7? Well, we know that 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 5's too little, 10's too much, so we go with that 5. And we put the 5 here. 5 times 1, 5 times 1, so the 1 goes at the top here. We've dealt with that 7. 7 subtract 5, well, that's 2. And what do we do now? That's right, we bring down that 5. So we put the 5 down here. How many 5's go into 25 or nearly 25? How many 5's go into 25 or nearly 25? Well, I know that 5 times 5 is 25. And if you've been practicing your division with your 5's, then you'll also know that 25 divided by 5 is 5. And that's what I do to work out what that answer is going to be here. I take this number and I divide it by this number. Or I think about it as a multiplication. Because of those fact families, I can move the numbers, flip the numbers round so that we know that that 25 divided by that 5 happens to be this 5 just here. It's exactly 25, which is very helpful. 25 divided by 25 is a 0, so I have nothing to carry over. I still bring this number down, this digit down here. And then I go, how many 5s go into 5 or nearly 5? And I know that 1 times 1 is 5. So the answer here is 1. It's exactly 5, so there is no remainder. 755 divided by 5 equals 151. 151. Now, if there was anything that you didn't understand there, please get in touch, because some people don't get that on the first time through, and that's absolutely fine. I've done lots of worked examples, so you can re-watch those parts of the video. So well done. This is the end of the video for this week. I'm going to send you a Mathematics video that goes through this process again. I'm going to send you the worksheet that gives you some questions for you to have a go at answering. It also has some answers on it as well, so you can check your answers. You could also check it with a calculator if you wanted to. Make sure you set it out, make sure that you work through step by step. And one of the best things about having the answers is you can check it afterwards. There's no point just writing the answer down though. So don't do that, because you're not learning anything. And these are really, really important skills for other maths that you will do. So use this time wisely and use this time to really understand how to do this, what I would call basic division, and using a long division method to be able to break out how to do these divisions.